I have been shouting from the rooftops my love of folding phones for the last like 5 or 6 years. If you know me at all, you probably know me as that weird folding phone guy. From the Galaxy Z Fold to the Pixel Fold, OnePlus Open, Oppo, Honor, I have used so many different folding phones and I absolutely adore them. I adore what they can give you. The increased productivity, that larger canvas on the inner screen is something that I have such a hard time not having. Flip phones, on the other hand, just never really appealed to me. I wasn't looking for a normal phone that could get smaller. I was looking for a normal phone that could get bigger. I want to multitask. I want to get stuff done. I want to have that larger canvas. And because of that, all the way into 2026, I had never used a flip phone, but now I have. I recently came across this deal on Woot for the Moto Razr Plus 2025 instead of $999. How about $379? That is a deal that was too good for me to pass up. Now, I must admit, even this decision was motivated by my desire to know more about a book-style folding phone. Motorola is going to be releasing the Moto Razr Fold, their first book-style foldable, and I had not used a Moto phone since the Moto X all those many years ago. I wanted to get familiar with their version of Android Hello UI, so a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, wanted to try a flip phone, really wanted to see what Motorola was cooking up in the software department. So I ordered the thing, I've been using it, and guys, I am very pleasantly surprised. One of the first things that I really appreciated when using this Moto Razr was just how much more pocket space you feel like you have with this device. And I know that's really obvious. Like, of course, it's a lot smaller than like any other normal slab phone or folding phone when it's closed. That's kind of the point. But until you experience it, it is kind of hard to quantify. It really doesn't feel that different than having like a really big set of earbuds in your pocket. So that was kind of interesting. I have been using huge phones for so long now. Even the Z Fold 7 is, I mean, it's still a very tall phone, even if it is quite thin and quite light. It is still a pretty large phone in your pocket. Before that, I was using stuff like Surface Duo. I mean, the comparison here, not just in size, total footprint, but like weight is pretty crazy. This thing is under 200 grams, and you're definitely going to notice that weight and size reduction versus a lot of the other folding phones on the market. I'm going to talk about this more throughout the video, but it really does feel like this is the perfect design for a weekend phone. It is fantastic at just sort of like blending into the background almost. You can forget that it's in your pocket. When you need to use it, you pull it out, you do what you need to do, and you close it and you put it away. It's always fascinating to me how form factor changes the way I behave, how I use these phones, and it is so true with this device. The next surprise for me was how often I'm using the cover display. I genuinely did not think I would use this thing for more than just quickly checking a notification, but that has not been true. I use this quite a bit. Granted, you do have two cameras like just punching holes in it, and that does definitely get in the way, but there's still a lot that you can do with this. So something that I find myself doing quite a bit is controlling my music with it. And you can see here that that works really quite well. Like, you can do everything that you need to do with this. And by the way, if you long press on this line at the bottom, it'll move the app up over above those cameras. So if that's in your way, you can kind of take care of that. But you can control your music really, really well like this. And it's good. I also find myself responding to text messages from this screen. I get a message, I've got my notifications down there, I can jump straight into it. I don't usually type out the message, but you definitely can. It's as wide as a normal phone keyboard. But typically, I'm just going to use the microphone and dictate out a message. Hit send, put the phone away without ever having opened the thing. I also really like using Gemini from this screen. That is mostly a voice thing for me, and so I can just kind of trigger it with the power button and have a conversation with Gemini, ask questions, whatever it is I need Gemini to do. I can do it all from this cover display, again, never opening the phone. I've even caught myself watching YouTube videos from this screen. I know that that might sound crazy, but I've totally done this. Maybe I was like cooking a meal or something, and you can just kind of set this thing up like that and be watching a YouTube video. It's not like the greatest experience, but it is surprisingly doable. I will say that one reason I might be drawn to using this cover display is because when you open the device, it is like a super duper tall phone. Like I can't reach anywhere near the top of that. Luckily, quick cursor works just fine on this device. But yeah, that might be influencing me to some degree. I do think it's also worth pointing out how similar that experience is to using something like one of these keyboard phones, like the Unihertz Titan 2. It's almost like using a Titan 2 that rather than being, kind of based around a physical keyboard, it's based around dictation. That's kind of the way that I've been treating it. And yeah, it's been surprisingly fun. Battery life on this particular device has been just okay. You can see here that I'm at an hour of screen time and I'm down to 79%. That's not great. That's actually like, I would say a good chunk worse than my Galaxy Z Fold 7. I can still make it through the day, but I do find myself at times maybe needing to plug the thing in and charge up a little bit. Although I think it's got like 45-watt charging, so it charges up pretty fast. I would say that beyond zoom, which is something we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, I think the battery life is probably the weakest thing about this phone. Given the battery size and the lower end processor, I feel like the battery life should be better than it is. I don't really know why it is as lackluster as it is. I think for a lot of people, this might be a phone that you're going to be charging on your way home from work or on your lunch break or something like that. You could kill this thing in a day without trying particularly hard. We are using the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 on this phone, and it is not a top-end, like, flagship processor, but even still, I haven't had any major problems. Like, animations are pretty smooth, apps open up quickly. I think that we just don't necessarily, like, fully appreciate sometimes how ridiculously powerful our phones actually are. And so because of that, we think that we need these insane processors, but even the mid-rangers do a pretty darn good job. In the video I posted talking about the operating system on this phone, kind of prepping for the Razr Fold, I talked about Moto AI, and it just literally did not work for me. It just did not function. It has started functioning. I did all kinds of things trying to make it work, and then I gave up, and then a couple of days later, it just started working. So it is now functioning, and I can kind of show you. We'll just quickly create an image. And look, the Moto AI stuff is fine. I do think that the image generation, if you're trying to use it to create a wallpaper or something like that, it's okay. I think you get like 5 of those images per day or something like that, which is a little bit annoying. It's fine, okay? It works fine. You can ask it questions. You can do all sorts of things like that. But I guess for me, it just kind of feels superfluous because I'm going to get better results out of Gemini like 9 times out of 10. So this has been something that I have largely just stopped using. I will say that if I have a lot of notifications, there's a thing that pops up here that says catch me up. It's the same thing that you can see here. And it will quickly like summarize your notification, which I think is cool and potentially useful. That might be the only thing that I have actually found useful in Moto AI besides maybe making like a wallpaper. You do have 2 cameras on this device. There's a 50 megapixel primary and a 50 megapixel telephoto. And I have been really pleasantly surprised with the photo quality I can get out of this device, especially on these sort of like macro shots. I love the colors. They're very natural and believable. We're not super overexposed. I like the level of contrast. It's got kind of a nice, almost like old school pixel, like super highly contrasted look that I really, really like. I think that the portrait mode is kind of the entire point of that 2x. Like if you try to do like a 4x zoom, I'll show you an image right here. It does not look good at all. This is not for zooming. It is there specifically for focal length so that you can take a nice portrait. And the portraits look pretty good. The cutout for the blur seems to be pretty darn consistent. I've been pretty pleased with it. You kind of have to know what you're getting with this camera. It's not like the best system in the world, but it's a lot better than I thought. As I alluded to earlier, I think that the most interesting thing about this phone is how it has sort of changed my behavior. It's how I use it. As someone who has a difficult time sometimes pulling themselves away from work, this phone kind of helps me do that. In a weird way, it just feels more leisurely to me. I end up doing quick tasks on this cover display, so I don't open it, so I don't see Feedly, which I compulsively click on to see if there are any like breaking news stories that I need to cover, and I end up just putting the phone back away. The more I use the cover display, the more I'm in and I'm out and I'm back to whatever it was I was doing away from the internet. It really does remind me of using some of those keyboard phones like the Titan 2. That square screen is just not great for doing most things. So you're not going to do most things with it. But for some reason, rather than just going, this is bad, I'm just going to open the phone. For some reason, I keep using the cover display. It's very odd. It's been a very interesting experience. And I do wonder how many of you watching this have used a phone like this and have had a similar experience. I guess the way I would put it is that on a fold, the hardware is practically begging you to do more. Open it up, do more things, do bigger things, get things done. On a flip, on a Razr like this, it's like the exact opposite for me. And that experience has been a far more pleasant one than I expected. I thought I would put my SIM in this phone, use it for a few days, understand the operating system, and want to go back to one of my folding phones. And I did that. I did go back to my Pixel Fold for a day, but at the end of the day, I kind of wanted to go back to the Razr, and it was for reasons that I couldn't fully even understand at the time. I think I'm beginning to kind of get what the appeal of these things are, though. Hopefully, I've communicated that fairly well. This has been a very fun experience and well worth the price of admission. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.